Yeah, my name is Doug Gordon, and I've been coming to this church for about 40 years, and it's been an amazing journey to see our church move from 9th Street and come here and in that process obviously grow. I was raised on a farm about a half an hour from here up by Maxwell. I had a wonderful childhood growing up there. I was saved at the age of 8. My father led me to the Lord, and I realized my need of salvation, and I can remember kneeling in the living room and just asking God to come into my heart. And those were wonderful times. We grew up with loving, godly parents, and we had lots of work to do. There was no TV, there was no cell phones, there was nothing like that. You just got up and went to work every day, and you went to school, and you went to church on Sunday, and it was an awesome way to be brought up on a farm. My dad was a wonderful friend, and we had a wood business, and often he would teach us godly principles from the Bible as we worked. And so it was just a time of growing and a time of seeing who God was at an early age, and then a time to see an example. My mother also was a very godly woman, and she still is, and loves the Lord. And so we grew up just in love and in security and having great examples. When I was 22, my father had a massive heart attack and died, and a lot of things changed. We had a lot of extra work to do, and the leadership was kind of gone, and so it was just a time of the family working together and trying to sort out just where we kind of fit into that, and it was a good time, but it wasn't a really easy time. When I was a year later, when I was 23, I married Karen in our church here. And through a series of circumstances, got laid off from work. And unbeknownst to me, I kind of started my business in the garage, not really knowing that I was starting my business. I just did some work for somebody, and it just kind of grew from there. Many times in my work over the years, we would be out of work. We would have work and not get paid. And it was a time that we quickly realized that God supplied the needs and met the needs. It's not really what you do, it's all God. And we quickly realized that at a very young age. And we continued to serve in the church and tithe as much as we could, and God just seemed to bless and meet those needs, and we could see that daily provision day after day. I can remember praying with my children for work, and even sometimes that day the phone would ring and there would be work the next day, and it was just an example of God providing for our family. Today, obviously, it's a little different time right now with this pandemic. We are fortunate to not be completely shut down. Jason and I are still working each day, and we have a lot of work in the shop, and we have work at customers' places where they're not there. And again, we just see God meeting those needs and being able to bless some other people and bless some family because they're out of work. It's just a time that we really see God providing for us. God has blessed Karen and I with 4 children and 8 grandchildren, and they love the Lord, and it's amazing to see the grandkids, some of them starting to get saved and starting to understand salvation. I just want to share that same verse that Ron shared last week. It's been my life verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. And as we have lived our life, and as we have worked with our children and raised them up, truly He has directed our paths, and He has just given us so much. My prayer would be that as we continue to do devotions each day and as we memorize Scripture, that, Father, this Scripture would not be void in our lives, that we would understand what we read and we would convey that to our neighbors, and we would be a testimony. That is my desire, to constantly be a testimony or an example to our neighbors around us. Easter Sunday was a highlight this year for me. We got the family together on Zoom, and my oldest son had asked me to do communion with the family. And so I got to lead communion with the family and just share each one how God has blessed their lives and is blessing their family. And just to remember, again, God's death and His burial and resurrection, and just to remember the provision that He made for us. Okay, thank you for listening to me this morning. It's been a pleasure of my life to serve here in this church.